Welcome. I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. I always like to remind you that you need to grab a notepad and a pen so that you can jot down some notes and take down some sort of action item that you will implement in your business today. And as a matter of fact, I have a homework assignment for you today, so you are going to need that notepad, and I will give you, don't worry, it's not a complicated one, it's a fun one. And I hope you are not too blissful. They say ignorance is bliss. And in your business, I therefore hope you are not very blissful. Ignorance can be deadly in the context of business. And I've always had a bit of a fascination. I've been intrigued by various expressions such as that. Ignorance is bliss. And I like to look and sort of ponder, consider the origin of these expressions. And of course, in this case, we use that expression. I'm not exactly sure what the etymology is, but we use that expression to refer to people who seem to be carefree and moving forward without a care in the world. And we often make the observation that they don't realize that there are perils and that there is some sort of danger, adversity that they're facing, and they're oblivious to it. So they're ignorant to it, and they are therefore blissful. And I've taken to watching this particular YouTube channel. I think it's called The Malibu Artist. And this guy is a drone photographer. And specifically, he tracks great white sharks just off the coast of California. And often, well, maybe not that often, but it's not infrequent. I've seen multiple videos from him where he will pick up on these great white sharks, and often they're juveniles, but still large great white sharks that are not far from the shoreline, and very often, therefore, not far from people. There may be kids playing on little paddle boards, or there are people, paddling on their paddle boards and swimming and so forth, and they are completely oblivious, ignorant to the fact that there is a great white shark in very close proximity, and they're blissfully playing and going about their business. So there's an example. I'll put a link in the description if you'd like to check out those videos. He's a pretty good photographer, and the drone footage is amazing, clear waters and so on. But those people, ignorance is bliss. They get to enjoy themselves in the waves, not realizing that there's great peril not far away. And someone would argue with me and say, no, the sharks aren't that interested in them. But for my part, I'd rather not be swimming that close to a great white shark and not know about it, although perhaps I have. And that is what we're talking about often when we say ignorance is bliss. In the context of business, however, it can be very perilous to operate in an environment of ignorance, and you have some sort of market condition or some factor of which you are unaware that can greatly affect your business. So the other expression I think about is this thing where they say, everyone's perception is his reality. I've heard it shortened to perception is reality. And that is, your perception is your reality. And again, we can ponder that and think, well, what are people referring to when they say that? Of course, you operate, your attitudes and your behaviors are greatly influenced by your perception of the world around you, your paradigms. And therefore, it becomes your reality. And you have certain information that you're relying on that influences and informs your perception, and you therefore operate with that, and that becomes your reality. But again, it's not really true from, I guess we can debate truth as it relates to these type of idioms, but perception is not reality necessarily. Very often, in fact, there are great variances between reality, the objective truth, the facts, and somebody's perception of those same things. In fact, I've had a great fascination with those times in my life where I became aware of those variances, where my perception and the facts were very incongruent. And that when I become aware of that, I've often delight in that. And I truly do, because I can then modify my behavior, and I can often make market improvements in whatever I'm trying to accomplish by having good information. So today I want you to consider and think about what areas in your business maybe you are ignorant, and maybe you are too blissful therefore, and what areas in your business is your perception founded on some information that could be heavily flawed, some data that's inaccurate, and you're maybe making some assumptions as opposed to carefully gathering the data points, and therefore your reality is really skewed. So what I want you to do today is take 2 areas. Let's limit it to 2. Try to think of 2 areas of your business where you have operated in a particular way based on information that, if you're being honest with yourself, when you do that introspection and that reflection, you realize, I don't know for sure that I have the facts. I've sort of been assuming. Maybe it's something to do with your production. Maybe it's something to do with your customer service because you're relying on staff for these types of things, and you are assuming they're following the process correctly, and that things are not being skipped, and that we're being friendly to customers, and so on. What data are you relying on to have that? And are you blissfully assuming that things are going as well as they can? Remember, what we're trying to do is drive your business forward, and your current state of your business may be, not nearly as close to reaching the potential as it could be, is if you had better data. And that's where I'm going with these things, is that you should be relying on real solid data points. Now, there isn't, again, it's not a binary. It's not like you have perfect data or awful data. Often your reality, what you are capturing, is somewhere in between. And what you always want to try to do is endeavor to get better and better data. And of course, when it comes to data, bigger sample sizes are better. So over time, you can capture more and more. But it starts with asking yourself, am I measuring anything to do with these 2 areas? So that's your homework assignment. Remember, you're gonna think about 2 areas of your business that you have maybe been assuming that they're going well. You sort of think, well, yeah, this is going well. People are following the process, and maybe you're not focused on it as an area of improvement, but then you realize, I don't really have data to back that up. If I was there face to face with you and I said, how do you know they're going well? And what would you look at? What would you offer to substantiate as proof to me and say, well, this is going well because my revenue is good in that area, or I haven't had complaints from customers in that area, or I have I've done some quality assurance on the product and it seems fine to me. So you offer up some sort of evidence, and then I might challenge you and say, could your revenues be higher? Is it possible that customers are not complaining, they're biting their tongue, but they're not happy? Is it possible that your quality assurance that you're doing is flawed and you are biased because you want to believe it's good quality? What sort of standards are you using to measure that quality? In just my examples there, I would push back and ask you, what data are you using? What measurements do you have in place to know that you are maximizing your potential in these areas? 2 of them. 2 areas that maybe you are blissfully ignorant, or your reality, the reality that you are living in, is not real. It's not congruent with the facts, and therefore it's strictly your perception. And hopefully you, like just as I do, will delight if you find that, oh wow, my perception was off. There were some things, because the reason you'll delight in that is you'll realize, oh wow, there's some things we can improve upon, and that should add to value, that should add to the bottom line and innovation of your business. Now, if it turns out that one or more of the areas or one or both of the areas you decide to explore are difficult to capture data, they're difficult to find measurements on, then that can be the case. And I would then give you a different strategy to try to test your reality, to try to, give you some feedback and and be able to confirm or contradict your perception of the facts and inform you a little bit more to give you greater information. So that's what we're always looking for, is just greater intelligence in our business so we can make really well-informed decisions. And that is the A/B testing method, and trying to look at things like, okay, well, I don't know if this is actually well appreciated by my customers. I don't know what's going on in this case. Of course, if it has something to do with your staff, it's about inspecting your expectations. In fact, with everything, it's about inspecting your expectations, your process and everything. Watch our video on shopping yourself. My mama told me you better shop yourself, and doing some mystery shopping and everything. But A/B testing is what I was getting at there, is try a variation of whatever it is that you're talking about. Try to do something different and see what data comes back, whether it's sales, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, any number of things in your business, cost savings, what happens with your expenses, are you doing things the right way? What about the timing of your production cycle? Could you be shaving some time off and be more efficient by just trying a variation? I'm recommending this, and you might say, well, if it's not broke, do I really need to fix it? And that's, we elaborate a little bit more on that video entitled, Is Perpetual Refinement Necessary? I'm not suggesting, this is kind of like a pilot project. So what you will do is you'll just take a small sample size of production or whatever it is that you're looking at, and you'll just try a variance of it. In fact, I've heard it said before that if you've been trying something and you're not getting the results you want, and that's probably where you're gonna wanna start, is in an area of your business where you suspect you could be underperforming and you want to get greater performance. If you start there, then you've got less to lose, and you don't have to, if you started with something that you think is going just, like clockwork, it's really working out well, maybe that's not the area you wanna start, because it's a little risky to change things up there. But there's got to be a little bit of risk in business anyway. So to the degree that you run this quote unquote perfect business that's going so well, you still want to try to do some A/B testing. You need to still drive innovation. So whatever the case may be, I would invite you to take that area of your business and take a small sample of what you're going to do and do it slightly different, and then measure that to see, are you getting better results? And as I said earlier, I've heard it said by multiple people that every now and then you want to do the opposite if you're not getting good results. And in practical terms, I realize this is sort of abstract, and it's easy for me to sit here and say these things. You think, well, in my business, how do I do the opposite of what I've been doing? I can appreciate that. It may not sound very practical. So then think of it this way, frame it this way. What if you just thought about the premises that you're operating on? You thought about the foundational information you have, these assumptions that you may be making, and then completely reverse those. Consider if the exact opposite of what you currently think to be true is true. What if the opposite was true? What would you do differently? And if you frame it in that lens, you'll start to think, well, okay, if I realize that this is not the best supplier, he's the worst supplier, well, I suppose I would try a different supplier. And you'll start to generate ideas by challenging your premises and challenging those foundational beliefs that you have that are based on assumption. Consider the opposite and let that sort of lead your mind and open your mind as you brainstorm ideas for innovation, and just start small. But start with that project of just having two areas that you ask yourself, am I, blissfully ignorant in this case? Is my perception founded in facts that are not reality? They are incongruous with the real data that I'm not collecting. I'm basing this on assumptions. Let's start with that and see where this takes you. Have you done anything like this before? The danger is going through your business day to day, day in and day out, and never challenging any of your premises, never challenging any of your assumptions, and continuing to move forward. That is a real danger there. That's where you may be swimming and believing that you're just enjoying yourself in the waves and this is completely safe, and there might be a great white shark not too far from you. I'd like to leave it at that for now, and give me some comments, give me some feedback, give me some pushback if you agree with this, or are you more of the school of thought that, hey, I don't want to mess with success. If you're very successful, then, maybe you don't want to change too much. I get that. But what we talk about each morning, each time we get together and have these discussions, is meant to stimulate for you to think, is there something I've become a little complacent about that I can operate, that I can modify? I'm not talking about throwing the baby out with the bathwater and starting from scratch, the great pivot, so to speak. I just want you to make little small innovations. You have to be moving forward. And so, as I say, give me some comments, give me some feedback. What are you going to try? And leave some kind of comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.